brother?
Been good, been good. How about yourself?
Oh man, I ain't complaining. Up here trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, look at that guy, man. Look at that.
I'm an educator. Currently, right now, I'm an assistant principal at New Horizons Regional Education Centers in Newport News. Got two campuses. One's at Hampton, one's at Newport News. But going back to 2002, should I say, I was a classroom teacher. I taught sixth grade math and science, and kind of bringing it back forward from there. I mean, I taught probably about 10 years in the middle school classroom, and then about 8 years in the middle school classroom, and then the other 8 were in central office in high school. But ultimately, when I was at the high school level, I started kind of noticing a lot of things about bullying, okay, and didn't really know how to actually go about fixing that problem. And then once I reached the central office level, and I was able to kind of make some changes in the division, what I did is I spearheaded a anti-bullying program and an anti-bullying fest in Accomack County, Virginia. Well, I enjoyed it so much, and the people enjoyed it so much, I wanted to kind of take it a step further. And I didn't want it just to become another anti-bullying program that people would, take, and then you got the worksheets and the lesson plan and stuff like that. I wanted something a little more open and user-friendly and easily approachable. So I made a graphic novel, and I wanted it to be something that was, easy for anybody to pick up, young, old, middle school, elementary, high school, whatever it may be, and just be able to get the idea of what it was to stop bullying, should I say. So I created a graphic novel called Billy the Bull, and everything has a way to kind of go into the schools and see what are the different variations of bullying. So the first one I tackled was cyberbullying. Okay, so the first one's called Billy the Bull and the Buck2 Cyber Cipher. So you have a group of nerds, geeks, whatever you want to call them, and they're the smart kids, but they're also the ones that are constantly being picked on. Okay, so what they did is they actually flipped the script and they went on the offensive and they started cyberbullying other kids that were bullying them. And it went from them bullying kids to bullying teachers and the principal and stuff like that, because they were reaching so much success from it because people were getting off of their back, but at the same time they're getting themselves further and further in trouble. And then Billy's in the process of trying with his friends, trying to figure out who's actually doing the bullying, because where they're so smart, they're so intelligent with technology, they're able to do it with nobody figuring out who it is. So towards the end of the book, they figure it out. The beans spill, Billy goes and reports it. And so that was pretty much the premise of the first book. So that was that one. And then the other two that are here were when I was a life coach. So I was a youth life coach. And as in the process of me, helping these kids and kind of giving them the ins and outs of how their the successful steps for their life, I had a lot of parents who were asking the same questions, like, what you're teaching my son or what you're teaching my daughter, I could actually benefit from as well. You should put it in a book. Okay, hadn't thought about it. So therefore I was like, okay, well, let me, boil down what I'm teaching to the students, to the kids, and put it into a book that's, for adults or for young adults, whatever it may be. And that's where the MAP came from. And the MAP stands for, MAP, stands for Massive Action Plan. Mm-hmm. So therefore it's just 7 steps to pretty much better your life. Talks about finances, talks about self-care, talks about mental health, talks about physical health. It talks about your surroundings and getting around people, as well as the environment that will, embrace your success. And it's really a quick read, and it's a step-by-step 1 through 7. And then ultimately towards the end of it, the 7th step is actually passing that information off to somebody else. So you can always continue that cycle and once again, kind of build that chain, that legacy. So therefore it doesn't stop. So therefore you end up touching somebody else, just the way the book helped you out. So.
Mm-hmm. That's dope. That's dope. Once again, bro, I thank you. You purchased the books, you know what I'm saying, and read it, and to do the interview, and you know what I'm saying, you were just your thoughts on the book really was encouraging for me, because you was one of the first people in general to have read it and gave me some feedback. And right. I really appreciate that, man. And I thank you. And so that's a little bit of that I wanted to touch on, because like I said before, a couple other reviews was if I think people just read it, I think, you know what I'm saying, they'll get something from it.
Of
So
course.
on that, what was your take from what you remember with the Watch Me Grow series? And if
Mhm.
but because I know initially it was just what, volume 1 and 2.
Right.
Yeah. Those some of your takeaways that might have stuck with you with the series.
Pretty much like you said, and not to take anything away from it or boil it down to the least common denominator, but ultimately, if you read it, there's no way you cannot take something from it. I mean, that's in a nutshell. It's definitely a great story. It reads, as I told you before, it reads like a movie, and that's a movie script, should I say. It has the drama, it has the the action that builds it up, and you have that it constantly it's ebbing and flowing. So for every book, there's obviously a climax, and then it drops down, and then I think it was the second, no, it was the end of the first book, I believe. You left me on a cliffhanger.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wait. So you ended it right out. You ended it at the climax there. I was like, wait, okay, we're done. I need to read the second book now. So it's a page turner. And I know it's one of the things that we talked about. You wanted something that was, quick, easily digestible. You can quickly pick it up. You can read through it and pull something out of it very quickly. And it does just that, because I think the first one is around about maybe 50 or so odd pages, and then the second one is around about the same thing. The third one goes a little bit deeper, which is fine. But ultimately, it's something that your average reader can pick up and knock out in a day, easily 2 days, no problem. But even for your more challenged readers, because I know we're all looking towards the younger generation, even the challenged readers should be able to pick this up and knock it out with no problem. And I would hope that it's not a book that somebody just kind of picks up and starts reading and doesn't take any notes behind it.
Mhm.
Okay. For a moment there, and I don't think I ever shared that with you, I almost kind of felt like there should have been some type of note taking or something in the like the margins or something like that, where it's like, ooh, that was good. I need to write this down, instead of breaking your flow and having to go pick up a notebook or something like that. Just have like little margins, little lines right in the margins. But I mean, that's not a legitimate story. But anyway, there should be something. I mean, people should be taking notes from this, because you give so much information. You talk about real estate. You talk about real estate investment trust. You talk about stocks. You talk about bonds and mutual funds. You talk about 5G and technology overseas in China and bringing it back over here to the States, and how people, if they don't get on board, they're going to get left behind. You talk about the Robert Kiyosaki's, and you talk about the mentors that most successful individuals have. It's a financial literacy class boiled down into 3 books. That's it. It's a financial literacy class boiled down into a 3-book story. And I like how you have the evolution of CJ from a teenager up into a young adult, and you didn't leave out all the other little nuances that come in with that, as far as missing being back home, missing your dad, having the conflict of having to deal with being in a new environment versus what you know and what you hold near and dear. So even when he becomes a young adult, you talk about, they're talking about relationships, and they're talking about sex, and they're talking about, marriage and life, and everything is tied in there. So not only are you getting a life lesson, a lesson in financial literacy, you're getting a lesson in life as a young adult. So it's the double package, man. It's a 2-for-2 hit. So
Mhm.
I would highly recommend anybody that hasn't read a book on financial literacy to pick this up, to at least start the process. It'll expose you to a lot of things that you may not have heard of, and hopefully that will be the bridge to you actually picking up a financial literacy book and saying, hey, I read about that in Watch Me Grow. Hey, I read about that in the Blueprint. Oh, I read about that in Brick by Brick. Hey, maybe we need to have Russ come in and do a financial literacy class or be a guest speaker.
I'll give you what I got.
There you go. So, and another thing is, and I don't know if you meant to do it like that or not, But because remember we had talked about it, and I had books 1 and 2, the physical copies, and I didn't have 3. So you sent me 3 and as a PDF. And it was funny because I went back and I looked at the PDF that you sent me, the newest ones that you sent me, because you sent me all 3 of them again. And the PDF in book 3, actually towards the end of it, because I was reading through it and it said at the very end of it, said end of chapter. But then, even though it said end of chapter, you have all these notes
Oh,
that you so all the notes that you had compiled together literally added on another 20 pages to the book.
oh.
And I'm like, no, I mean, that's no fault. I mean, it's your fault, but it's a positive problem, should I say. But the cool thing about it was is I literally sat there for another 15, 20 minutes and just read through all the notes. And I'm like, this is amazing. I mean, that whole section where you talked about how China right now is on the cutting edge of technology, and they're talking about artificial intelligence, they're talking about 5G, and they're talking that stuff is coming to light. Here it is right now. I mean, we're talking about, unfortunately, we're talking about COVID, and people at one point in time were blaming it on 5G towers. Do we know if that's correct or not? No, we really don't know. Some people say yes, some people say no, but they were calling it the China virus because behind of all this, the 5G. And lo and behold, it's in your book. That was before they started talking about it, that it was coming from there. So you were already on the cutting edge of researching this information long before they started talking about it. So therefore, once again, it was a financial literacy class boiled down into 3 books and a very good story. So once again, highly recommend anybody that needs to pick it up. They definitely need to pick it up and read it and use that as a springboard into an actual financial literacy class or an investment book or YouTube channels on investment or whatever it may be. And there's so much. Matter of fact, I was telling somebody about this the other day, and I meant to create a Facebook or Instagram post about it. There is so much information out there right now for free. There's no reason anybody right now should be working either check to check, have a negative balance in their bank account, not have investments, not be investing in stocks or bonds, throwing some money and buy the block, $100 and buy the block so you can be part of a real estate investment trust. There's no reason why you shouldn't be dabbling in crypto. I know it's a risk right now, but scared money, as in the book, scared money don't make money. So do your research and then invest. Right now, people are looking at was it Dogecoin, and even though it only costs, I mean, it's like pennies on the dollar. But even if you just kind of went in, you played around with it, then you got scared and you pulled it back out, at least you paid attention for maybe a week or so to see what happened. Anybody can afford $5 to play around with some Dogecoin for a split second or any penny stock whatsoever. And then it's like, okay, I made a little bit of money. Okay, let me pull it back out. That's how you create those building blocks. That's the initial step. Putting yourself out there, getting comfortable enough to put yourself out there. So therefore it's like, okay, I did this. Now how do I do it again? All right. Okay, how do I do it again? I made some money. How do I do it again? Okay, I lost some money. Maybe I didn't research something. Maybe I need to check the newspapers. I need to look at stock investments. I need to look at Wall Street Journal. Okay, I got my information. I'm gonna go back in and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. Just the whole exposure. So once again, your books are a springboard. I would love to see them not just put in just anybody's hands, but as part of a financial literacy class. And they're for anybody. They're literally for anybody. So therefore, your young adults as well as your adults, they should be reading this book. And even if you have to start like with the YMCA or a Boys and Girls Club, and having some like an investment night, and you talk about this book, or if you were to create almost like an investment club, like just start one up and saying, hey, we're going to read this as part of our investment club. Okay. This is not going to be the investment guide. We're going to come up with our own investments, our own, but we're going to start by exposing you to some of these terms by reading Watch Me Grow. Okay. So It's a phenomenal book series. I'm looking forward to. I don't know if they told you or not, but he's got another 3 more coming down the pipe where they're looking at Cat and on. So, I'm looking for 4, 5, and 6 now. So if he hasn't told you about it, his other podcast, they coming. So
Hey man, I thank you, man. I'm excited. You got me wanting to go. You giving me new ideas. You got the wheels spinning, brother.
that's what's
I
up. That's
appreciate
what's
you.
up.
And that's one
So
thing I do. I definitely appreciate about you is always a reciprocal thing. You always want to give and advice, and you always want to and make sure other people win, especially us. You know what I'm
that's
saying,
it.
which is important.
That's it.
And, so as far as an educator point of view,
Mhm.
with the read, um, just from a different point of view, what can you say or suggest or tie in with that?
From the educator's perspective, this is something that, well, if from my perspective, as far as a principal, excuse me, an assistant principal at a career and tech school, that's one of the things that we've always left up to the homeschools, should I say. We have this thing, for example, it's called, and we just implemented maybe about a year, maybe 2 years ago. Well, this is his 3rd year, so 2 years ago. Um, it's called Workforce Wednesdays. Okay. And what we do at our school ultimately is on Wednesdays, we have all the teachers take a time out from their normal lessons and they talk about workforce development. Okay. And part of that workforce development is financial literacy because you'll have some kids that are coming out of school right now. And depending on what their certifications are and how well they did in our program, they could be making anywhere. Now we're talking above minimum wage, and you're an 18-year-old high school student with a diploma and a certification. So we're talking about 18-year-old kids that are coming out. Some are making anywhere between $20, excuse me, $18 to $20. Some are making upwards of $25 to $28 an hour coming straight out of high school. Okay. Just a diploma and a certification. I'm looking at this, I'm looking at my students that are welders right now. There's this thing that we have, it's called AWS Sense. And in the Sense program, you have 5 different certifications that you can get. And I'm gonna mess them up, so I won't say all of them, but you got stick welding, you got flux, MIG, TIG, all these different ones, stuff like that. But obviously, the more wells that you know or the more certifications you have, the more money they're willing to pay you. So we've got kids that are literally coming out ready to go to work, making $25 an hour and actively looking to go back to school and become underwater welders where they're making 30 to 40 to $50 an hour. So, and these are 18, 19-year-old kids, but a lot of those kids, and that's best case scenario. Okay. Your average kid is coming through, they're probably going to come out, they're still going to do pretty well. They're making maybe $17 to $19 an hour, which is fine. But a lot of times they're not financially fit. Okay. They're not aware of where this money is coming from and how they're going to be paying taxes and how they're filing taxes for that matter. A lot of times these kids, they're the first generation of individuals that are coming out with good paying jobs, should I say. So this is one of those books that you could hand somebody and tell them, hey, I want you to take a look at this. All right. Don't read all the way through them. If you want to, so be it. But just read the first chapter. All right. Come back and talk to me. How does this parallel your life? Okay. Read the second chapter. Boom. Let's come back and talk about it. So it almost becomes like a book study that you have within your class. I would love to see this happen, come into a school. I don't know if it'll actually happen as required. Well, no, I take that back. It very well could. Because you know what? My son read the book by S.E. Hinton called The Outsiders. Okay.
Oh,
And books from the 60s, or the themes in the 60s, I think, the 50s. I'm not for sure which one. But anyway, but there was a killing in that. There was shooting in that. So I don't see, and there was a big gang fight in that too. So I don't see why this book couldn't be in a regular curriculum. You know, obviously, you'd have to have a lot of teachers that would be looking at it and, obviously see how they can pull some stuff out of it and incorporate it into their lesson. But with financial literacy being a requirement by the state as well as the nation, and you got a story that tells about a young man moving from boyhood to adulthood, it checks off a lot of the boxes that people will be looking for to incorporate something like that into the class. So if you haven't already been looking into it, I would definitely start say for example, I would start with a charter school, because a charter school kind of, or excuse me, well, private and or charter school, they kind of make their own rules in a sense. Private school, they're going to make all their own rules, so therefore, they can do what they want to do. A charter school is still funded by public money, so therefore, as long as it aligns with their charter, they can go ahead and work it out with them. A regular public school, it would have to kind of go through like a book study or almost like a textbook study, to find out if it would actually be something that they could implement in their program. But it's not a long drawn out process. It's just one of those, you have to kind of market it. You have to do the footwork to get in the door. It definitely helps to know somebody that knows somebody to get yourself in the door. So therefore you can make a formal presentation. But ultimately, private schools would definitely be the way to go first, because they call their own shots. And if it's something that they want to implement, then they shoot you an invoice, or you shoot them an invoice, they pay you, whatever it may be, and then you go on to the next thing. They usually allow you to do some other things in there as well, like even if you wanted to be the guest speaker, maybe if you wanted to be almost like kind of a financial consultant for those students, while they're reading the book. So in other words, you become the facilitator. So unless the kids are responsible for reading it, but they're not going to report back to the teacher, they're going to report back to you. And you kind of come in and you meet with them like maybe on a 10 to 15 to 20 student classroom basis. And then you just kind of move from class to class to class. And you'd have so as a private school, you can kind of move a little bit quicker. Your public school and your charter schools, once again, as long as it aligns with their charter, then yeah, you could probably do some things. July now pretty much is probably the best time to start walking in the doors, because not only is school starting very soon, some of them are starting like next week after next, but they just turned their year over. So their year ended in June and they started up in July. So therefore they know what monies they're working with coming into the new year. So definitely, if you were to look into it, as a charter or a public school, now would be that time. Private school, they kind of work on the same lines as far as wrapping their year up, but ultimately it's going to be a little bit quicker to move through them. So you kind of determine how it is that you want to work. If you talk to them and they decide to say, hey, we want you to have a formalized presentation, then cool, roll in there with a presentation, and then start from there. Otherwise, yeah, you want to move now. So
okay, dang, like, yeah, because I was talking some talks with San Diego School District, with for some schools out there. So definitely. How about one last thing? We'll wrap it up. Is
Sure.
From a spiritual aspect. Did you take your takeaway from that aspect?
You had some biblical quotes in there, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. I'll tell anybody that. I believe there's a higher calling. I believe there's a higher being that controls and runs this whole entire ship. Just too much stuff works, and it works well. It works perfectly, seamlessly, for there not to be a greater power at work.
Right.
On the flip of that, some of the verses that are there, I couldn't tell you where they came from and stuff like that. But if it applies to me, then I'm going to internalize it. And most of it all does apply to me. The quotes as well, that you had kind of littered throughout also resonated with me. And you had them coming from a lot of different perspectives. You had them coming from business leaders. You had them coming from spiritual leaders. You had them coming from, it came from all different walks of life. So spiritually, it does do something to your spirit, to your soul, because ultimately, this is self-empowerment. This is self-improvement. Okay. And I don't know much about, like I said, the Bible and religion, but I would automatically hope or assume that it's everybody's goal to move to a higher playing field. Okay. So even as I was rereading this the second and maybe the third time. As I was rereading this last night and everything in preparation for this, I kind of started going back, and you just kind of feel yourself, kind of that ethereal feel, that kind of, oh yeah, I remember reading about this. And I said I was going to do this when I read this book the first time, and I didn't do it. Let me go back and kind of, so it almost kind of that soul searching again. No. So with that being said, yeah, there's definitely a spiritual element to what's been written down on the paper. Um, and there's a lot of things that the characters go through that, people pray about every single night. I hope my boys are okay. I hope my uncle is okay. I hope my cousin is okay. And you know, there's a lot of things that people right now that are reading that can identify with, because they're going through that same exact thing in their lives right now, and they're praying to a higher power. So I'm hoping for financial stability. I'm hoping my son comes home tomorrow night and doesn't get shot up. Or, I hope I'm able to buy this house, buy this car. I'm hoping I can go and fly to China. I'm hoping I can close this deal. That whole thing, of that whole aspect of hoping and constantly hoping and wishing and dreaming. It's only when you put some foot to pavement do you actually have that stuff happen. You have to create your own opportunities, and then once that opportunity is available, you have to be able to identify and recognize and say, yo, that's it. I need to go do that right now. So once again, as far as building you up, building your spirit up, it's just after you've read it, the first one as well as the last one, you should have that whole feel good spirit, that feel good spirit in your soul that makes you want to go ahead and do something. We just talked about it just now. Us talking together is an exchange of information, but it's also exchange of energy. Okay.
Yeah.
You're giving me ideas. I'm giving you ideas. We had this conversation earlier this morning through text. I'm going out and I'm looking for impromptu models, to give a free t-shirt and model for me. And he was like, yeah, I need to give somebody a book so therefore they can model it for me. And then we turn around and say, no, better yet, I need to get your book so I can give them to the models as they're modeling my t-shirt, and then we can kill two birds with one stone. That's that positive energy that's flowing back and forth between us. So yeah, on a spiritual level, not a religious level, this will strike anybody. It will definitely strike anybody. If you're a religious person, you'll be able to find something there as well. But like I said, I'm not a religious person. So, but yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed the books, and I know for a fact anybody that has any energy exchange that needs to be conducted, they're going to be able to get it right from the book. I mean, you can't get anything to the book. The book's written. So the only thing you can do is pull positive energy out of it, because it's all good information.
And transfer it and exchange it with somebody.
Got to exchange with somebody. I would hope that any kid or any adult that picks it up and reads it will run and talk to somebody, or at least, once again, start asking those questions. Right. And when I ask that question, if I know it, I'm going to look at you and like, where'd you read about that? Or where'd you hear about that? Must have been YouTube. No, I'm reading this book. Oh, you're reading a book? What book you read? There's that exchange of energy, that conversation. Or better yet, let's say that you ask a question to somebody and they don't know the answer. Well, most parents don't want to seem ignorant in front of their kids. So what they're going to do is, I was like, I don't really know, but I'm going to go find out. So therefore, you start the exchange of information again. Yeah. So yeah, it's an energy exchange. So
yeah, that's dope, because that was the whole premise behind it. I mean, for the most part, just get people I envision young people saying, "Oh, what's that?" Like being caught up in the story, but being like, "What's that word?" Or "What's that?" You know what I'm saying? Like kids they want to make money,
right?
You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you're young, that's especially us as brown and black people, and you be like, I want to make money when I get older, but you don't even learn or read or hear. We watch videos, get it from our culture inside or outside on videos or something. But yeah, the main thing was just to spark interest. Just to spark interest and let them do the legwork, because that's when you lay everything out. A lot of times people, they'll forget or it's not that valuable. But when you go do the legwork, put the feet to the ground, like you said, to the pavement, and find some stuff out, then you tend to retain it a lot longer and manifest a lot more. So man, I appreciate it.
Oh, not at all. This kind of goes back to the initial interview that we had done, and we had talked about it. And the whole premise of what you wanted to do was to create a playbook,
Mhm.
literally a playbook for kids. So therefore, for youth. So therefore, they will be able to point to something and say, "I got that information from here." And that was just like that day that we were out there, and we gave that book to those three kids. That's why I'm missing one of my books now. So I passed that information to the next person. But the whole premise behind it is to empower the youth. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of what we all strive to do, because once again, it's not about just the legacy for your family. You want to leave that for sure, but it's also about the legacy you leave amongst your people.
Yeah.
So you want to leave your world better than you came into it. So,
Right.
I definitely want to make sure that Black Flower makes its mark on the world in some way, form, or fashion. And I definitely expect, definitely hope, and I know it will. Watch Me Grow is a book. It's in a published format. It will live on for the rest of his life. So
Yeah.
that will end up changing the world as well.
We could put the black flower in the back, especially the in the book in the interior.
Right.
Other people, you know what I'm saying? Might as well. And
I
just
hear you.
keep stacking, put some cute stuff in there, some of the other stuff, fellas, and
Yep.
as we go
Yep.
and grow, shoot, you know what I'm saying?
That's
That's one
it.
thing.
That's it.
Independent publish, do whatever you want to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
So yeah, so the only place to go is up from here.
yeah,
And like I said, scared money don't make money. So therefore, anything that I can do to help you invest and bring those other books to light, let me know.
yeah,
I talk about it all the time. I talk about your books. Like I said, I was in the process of looking for the one that I had, the physical one I had, couldn't find it. That's why I wanted the PDF copies. But I talk about your book very regularly to people, especially when they start to my teenagers that I'm working with, when they start talking about money, and I hear them kind of whispering in the hallway, and they're talking about hustling. And I was like, if you're a drug dealer, okay, you can run a business. If you're a person that has foot soldiers, then you could be a boss. Okay. You call yourself a boss now. That's great. How about really becoming a CEO? You could do that. Okay. If you could be a rapper, you could be a writer, because all you're doing is you're taking literary elements and you're adding them to music. So it's about expanding these young minds to seeing more than what's on TV, what's out here in the streets, and letting them know that there is another way. There's a lot of other ways.
mm,
You don't have to just be settled with what you see on the TV, because that's what they want you to see.
yeah,
You're not supposed to see all the other avenues out of misery, poverty, bad situations. There's multiple ways out. They're only going to give you a couple of them. And a lot of times it's a 360. It'll bring you back to the same place. You want to be able to, when you get out of here, you ain't never got to look back unless you decide to pull somebody back with you.
yeah.
So,
Man,
so
thank you, bro. Appreciate you, man, for real.
not at all. Thank you.
Oh man.
So yeah, it's been an interesting afternoon, should I say? As I was telling you, we were texting and everything, and I said I was gonna kind of get some, try to go out and get some impromptu shots of people wearing, my newest ones, the varsities and stuff like that, because I noticed I didn't have any shots of anybody. But they've been leaving my website like hotcakes, man. Like every time I look up, I got a sale coming through, which is dope. But it's
Mhm.
like I don't have anybody, that's putting any shot me any pictures or anything like that. So it's okay, I'm gonna get some, impromptu shots, give away a couple t-shirts, stuff like that, see what happens. Man, so I rode around Newport News and didn't get too much traction. It was about 1 o'clock. I was like, okay, maybe the people I'm looking for are still at work. So therefore, I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna, I'll play it off. So I rode around Hampton, the Peninsula Town Center, gang loads of people out there, people out there, because this is the beginning of in Virginia, it's beginning of tax-free holiday for people to do school shopping, back to school
Oh,
shopping. So anyway, so it's a tax-free weekend, and so people out there, kids and stuff like that. So, and I was like, okay, cool, this is it. So I met this one guy, and he kind of struck me as, he was, just kind of out there, just hanging out, stuff like that. So we talked. He was like, yeah, I'll take a free shirt. Yeah, I'll model up for you, stuff like that. I swear, no sooner than he was about to put the shirt on, somebody calls him and is like, I hear over the phone, where you at? I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa. He was like, I'm right here in front of JC Penney, da 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 this, da da da. He was like, yo, I didn't realize it was gonna take this long, da 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 this, da da da. So I was like, you know what? Let me just get your phone number. You know, we'll talk at a later date and time. So therefore, you know, I got his contact information and everything, which was cool, but I didn't get any pictures out of it. So like no pictures.
The shirt?
He got the shirt, so which is fine. He got the shirt. Look, he got the shirt. I got the number. So therefore, I was like, okay, we can link back up at a later date and time. So I stayed out there for a little while. Got finished talking to him. Met up with or one of my friends from back home. Kind of hit me up, and we talked for a little while. And then she broke out. And then there was another guy and his son, older son, was coming down the sidewalk and everything. And I said, hey, you know, I saw a shirt and it had, you know, the RGB fist on it in the front of it. I was like, yo, I like that shirt. And it's just like Juneteenth. It has some other stuff on it. I was like, hey, would you be interested in, you know, a free shirt? You know, I have a new brand that I'm bringing to the area, da 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 this, da da da. So he was like, I'm not really, you know, into fashion like that. He was like, but my son is. So, you know, you can give him a shirt. Okay, cool, no problem. Went to the back of the truck, had him, you know, what color would you like? Do you have this? Yes, I got it. So I went ahead, pulled it out, found the size, gave it to him. And we were about to go over to the side in some shade and go ahead and shoot. All of a sudden, his dad says, yo, is that my car? Yo, that's my car. I was like, what's going on? And so we looked down the street, man's car's getting towed. So I'm like, I'm feeling kind of bad because if I had let them continue walking to their car, they would have got there before the tow truck got there. So anyway, so the tow truck guy got his car up on the racks, you know, pulling it out of the spot. He managed to catch him before he gets too far and has to pay him the money for the ticket. So therefore, or the tow fee. I think he had to pay the tow fee. He hadn't even paid the ticket yet. So he had to pay the tow driver like, what, $125 to put the car down. And I'm like, yo, I'm feeling horrible because, like I said, if I just let them keep walking,
yeah.
So anyway, he was upset, but he wasn't like really like vexed or anything. I was like, look, man, I was like, let me just get your number. I know you're not feeling it right now. Da da this, da da that. So no pictures.
Once again, no picture.
No pictures. 2 phone numbers, and like I said, I met these 2 cool cats. So, you know, maybe I'll be able to call them up later on in a period of time and be able to say, hey, can we get that picture now? Or better, I'll just chalk it up and be done with it. But yeah, after that, I said, you know what? I'm not looking for this third L today. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring it on in.
Dang, bro. I was like, yeah, he was like, it's an interesting day. You definitely can't do the photo shoot. The man car just got, you know,
exactly, just killed the whole vibe. So I was like, you know, and he said, man, I was just out here trying to do some school shopping for my son, and now I got to pay for a tow ticket. I was like, well, dude, if it means anything, at least you got a free shirt out of this one. So you can add that to the wardrobe. But I'm like, yo, so I felt really stanky after that. I was like, man, I'm just gonna go home.
Go home, bro. It's all good. I had a dude, I was downtown Atlanta, and I was in a parking space, and he was like, hey, can you a quarter to wash your windows? Mm-hmm. I was like, man, what you gonna do with a quarter, bro? And he was like, well, you know, he said I could wash the car. And I was like, I'm in the downtown, you know what I'm saying, in the parking lot. He was like, I could wash the car. And I was like, how much you wash the car for? He was like, I washed the whole car for $5. Mm-hmm. We downtown, bro. Right. I was like, I gotta see this. I was like, okay, let's do the $5. Right. This man took out about 6 water bottles, started just throwing water on the car. He knocked it out, bro, like 15 minutes. I was sitting there, you know, listening to one of my YouTubes, taking some notes. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for a 6 water bottles worth of car wash, it was pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Okay. He did his thing, bro. And I was just like, okay.
Wow.
That was the first time that one. Like, okay.
Hey, whatever way you can make that hustle, knock it out. Yeah. So that's cool.
The other day, last week or the week before, I was driving down Metropolitan, stopped at the stoplight. I looked to the right, buddy over there, butt naked. I'm talking about butt naked, no socks, butt naked. Johnson came and I don't know where he got the cloth to clean his glasses, but he just standing there cleaning his glasses at the bus stop, butt naked. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, Atlanta.
I guess that only in the ATL.
You know what I'm saying? Just minding his own business, cleaning his glasses, butt naked. You know what I'm saying? And then the other night, I was down on Peachtree, and they had about one more time for me to miss this green light, but it was a guy in a Spider-Man costume and a guy in a Superman costume. They was wrestling in the middle of the intersection. It was pretty funny, but I wasn't about to miss another light to for these jokers. So they was on the ground like play choking each other and stuff. I was just like,
oh boy. So that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So,
yeah, man. Me and Q was chopping it up yesterday, bro. And your name, like I said, came up quite a few times. And I guess he's supposed to get up with you for something too.
Yeah, we still been talking. We were supposed to do that the second half of his interview because I had the first half, and that was the one that got posted up. But there was probably about 30, maybe 25, about 25 minutes of footage that we didn't even get, or I didn't even capture because my camera died.
Okay.
Because I didn't realize that, and that was like Q's was like one of my first interviews, and I was just kind of getting used to my camera and everything. So I didn't realize that you can only record consistently in 29-minute increments. With the digital camera or the DSLR because of how they classify it as a camera versus a camcorder. So as a camcorder, apparently when it's overseas or how it's shipped as far as taxes or import fees, it's a little bit different. They charge it at a higher rate for a camcorder than a DSLR. So therefore, all DSLRs have to cut off before 30 minutes because if they go into that 30-minute, they're classified as a camcorder, which is taxed differently. So I didn't realize that until after doing some research. So like I said, we had got to that 29th minute and my stuff completely cut off and I didn't even realize it. So yeah, so we were supposed to be doing the second half to it. And we just haven't gotten around to it. That's pretty much it. So, and it's been okay because actually that's probably been, let me see, when he released the video with the other guys with Big Hampton, that was roundabout in maybe April, May of last year. So yeah, it's been about a year since that's come out. So we probably could easily bring that back in and bring that full circle because we filmed that on like a Thursday, and then that Saturday he went to go do that film or do that video. So yeah, so he did that with Southside and Jarvis, Siraj, and I forgot Chitty. So after they did that, we were supposed to link back up again so I could use some of that footage in his second interview, and we just haven't gotten back to it. So that's it. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that dude busy. That's everybody busy, man.
Yeah.
All right, where can people find you at your platforms?
All right, so you can find me pretty much my clothing line is at Black Flour Apparel, and flour is FLOUR, so like the baking flour. You can also find me at on Instagram, same thing, Black Flour Apparel. Facebook, same thing, Black Flour Apparel. And on Twitter, if anybody's still using it, is Black Flour Life. Okay. But ultimately, yes, come to my website, blackflourapparel.com, and you can see everything that you need to see. The books I will be republishing. I'm in the process of republishing them under the Black Flour label. They were under my life coaching brand, and I dismantled that. So therefore, I could put them under the Black Flour label. So that will be coming very soon as well.
Black Flour, everything, even the truck.
Hey,
see a Black Flour truck in Virginia rolling through, holla at your boy.
Hey, just to let you know, that logo that you see behind you right now, that is trademarked. That is in the process of being trademarked. Unbleached, pure, self-rising. Black Flour is a trademark, and I plan to run everything underneath that.
Definitely. Appreciate you again, once again, man. And I look forward to us linking up
Always.
On a continual basis, sharing this and
Always.
pushing this energy and sharing and manifesting, man. It's nothing like it.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I got to get down there to ATL too. So when I get down there, we're going to make it happen.
Okay. All right, man. Appreciate you.
No problem, man.
Friday.
All right. Enjoy. You do the same.
All right.
All right.
Grow through concrete. So why is it that when you see some ghetto kid grow out of all of the dirtiest circumstances and he can talk and he can sit across from you, make you smile, make you cry, make you laugh, all you can talk about is my dirty rows, my dirty stems, and how I'm leaning crooked to the side. You can't even see that I came up out of that.